Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you are, whenever you're watching this. This is Floating in Dreams. Today's video is going to be my top 10 favorite highlighters, and I will be ranking them for you. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. Today's video is going to be a ranking of my top 10 favorite highlighters. I think this is going to be something I might be able to do every year just to see how my preferences change. But I have been doing several videos in this series before. I've done my favorite high-end foundations, I've done favorite drugstore foundations, and I've done a couple of other bits, and I'm aiming to continue to do this once a month for the next couple of months towards the end of the year, just so I can really get my thoughts around like my collection and what I'm loving and all of that. So I've selected 10 of my highlighters from my collection where I'm like, at this moment in time, these are my current favorites. And I thought that just for fun, we could rank these just to see where these stand according to me. And in case you're new here, hi, my name is Maaike. I live in the Netherlands. I like to come on here to chat about eyeshadow palettes, Essence and Catrice reviews, and getting the use out of my makeup. And if you have fair skin with a cool to neutral undertone like me, then maybe you're also a snow angel. Or if you would just like to join the Snow Angel Club, you can click subscribe down below and we can have a lot of fun on here together. So yes, 10 different highlighters. I know. I've made a selection here, and I think if you've been following me for a while, a lot of these you will see coming. But I also feel that there are a couple of here that I'm like, oh, I love these, but I don't talk about them enough. So there's definitely a blend here. I don't have that many drugstore picks. Not gonna lie. When it comes to highlighters, I definitely prefer them if they are more expensive, it seems. But that being said, of the drugstore highlighters that I've gotten here, 2 of them are in my top 5. So I think I'm making up for it that way. So let me get to number 10. And number 10 is sadly discontinued. So this you can no longer buy. This is from Urban Decay, and this is their Aura highlighter. Now, in terms of shade-wise, this is very similar to another discontinued highlighter, the Becca Prismatic Amethyst highlighter, which I also love. But at the moment, I'm just finding myself gravitating more towards more like natural and everyday things. So, you know, I'm really loving my cream highlighters at the moment as well. Those aren't featured here. They're all powders because I'm going to make a separate video about like favorite cream products towards the end of the year as well. So that you can expect coming, and then I'll, you know, put my favorite highlighters in there because I just don't have as many cream products as I do powder products, and I haven't tried as many either. So yeah, Urban Decay's Aura is this like pinky lavender kind of shade, and I've always deemed this the more subtle version of that Becca highlighter, and that's why I've always kept it around because it's so lovely. This is the kind of shade I like wearing mainly in the winter time though, so it's a bit limited in what it can do for me. I don't like this all that often, and if it's like the springtime or the summertime, this is definitely like a dead of winter kind of shade for me. I love pairing this with like bright pink and really good like purple blushes. That's what this is really good with, because those are also the blush shades I like to wear when it's like January, February, we've got snow. That's when this is lovely. So yeah, Urban Decay's Aura, lovely product. I really enjoy this, and I want to go back to it again this winter for sure. Number 9 then, which is Benefit's Cookie, and Cookie is one that I haven't talked about in a while on my channel, but I do really like this. Mine is so used that you can see actual scratches from the brush in there, and this is one that I think I could quite easily hit pan on. This is one of the more intense highlighters, so that's probably why, again, I haven't used this a whole lot, because it's just a little too intense for what I'm currently liking. But this is still really good. I would still recommend this, so that's why it goes into the number 9 spot. And then the next one, number 8, is going to be MAC's, what are these called again? The Extra Dimension Skin Finishes in Show Gold. And I've got 2 of these. I actually bought this one first, and then I got Double Gleam second, thinking Double Gleam is going to be better for my skin tone, because that's the shade they do recommend for fair skin. But I feel that's not unique enough in my collection, and I love how this is different. So Show Gold makes you perhaps think that this looks very gold, but it's like a gold with a pink flash, and on me, I get more like pink with a warm undertone, I feel, rather than it really looking gold on me, because golds can just be way too stark, so that usually doesn't work out. But this, I love. Granted, it is a little bit dark, so I can only wear this into summertime, which is why I've put it at the bottom of this ranking, because I can wear this from like June until like August, September, and then the moment just dies because then it's just too dark and it looks a little weird. Like if a highlighter is too dark, you get this cast, and this can do that for me if it's not paired with the right products and if I'm not dark enough. Like, what am I talking about here? I'm still pale, right? We're currently at like that point in the year where I'm at my darkest. But I do feel that very often in the summertime, certain products can just look a little bit better because I've got a bit more warmth to my skin, if that makes sense. And then one of the drugstore picks in this video is number 7. This is the Annabelle Perfect Glow Highlighter in the shade Topaz. And this is one I've raved about, and I'm not sure if you can see it. Maybe you can see it better in the close-up, but this has a huge dent as well. This one I love. It's a white highlighter with a gold flash, and that looks really stunning on me. And over the years, I had a number of these, but I ended up keeping this over much more expensive options because I just love this. This is really good. Annabelle, however, can be difficult to buy because this is a Canadian drugstore brand, so this isn't very widely available. I got this in a swap years ago, but I still love hard on this thing, and I do go back to it from time to time. So yeah, if I'm going to pick my top 10 favorite highlighters, this has to make an appearance. It just has to. And then the next one is another one I'm like, Micah, you haven't used or talked about this particular highlight in a while, but this is the first highlighter that gave me that glass skin look, and that's what I'm currently really into. So that's why the Nars, what's this called? Forte de France highlighter is one that I had to put in number 6 spot. So out of the top 5, but still a really, really good one. Again, this is not the shade they recommend for fair skin. There is a lighter shade in this range, but this looks like wet glass skin, and this was the first highlighter of that nature that I had ever tried, which is why I hold it very near and dear to my heart. And if we go gold, then this for sure. But everything I've got going on in my top 5 are like things I use all the time and that I just go back to a lot more than I do this, precisely because it is gold. I don't love it as much as some of the other things I've got going on in my top 5. I tend to love this though around the holiday season because it just really, like, especially if you're in like low light situations, this looks especially nice. And one thing I really greatly appreciate about this formula is that it doesn't emphasize texture at all. Top 5 then. Hourglass. Nobody liked this apart from me. This is not a much talked about product on YouTube at all. This is the Iridescent Strobe Light Ambient Strobe Lighting Powder. And these, I remember when these launched, they got a lot of negative reviews because a lot of these had actual visible sparkle in them. But I remember I went to Space NK in London and was able to swatch them, and then I picked this shade. And there are a few shades in the line that don't have the sparkle. And this, if you're into subtle highlights, so this is one of the reasons why none of the Becca highlighters are making an appearance today, because those are very kapow in your face highlight. And I feel like the trends, but also my preferences, are going more out to these like more soft focus highlighters. And the Hourglass Iridescent Strobe Lighting Ambient Lighting Powder is just exactly that. It doesn't look that used, but I've used this a ton. It has a bit of a peachy undertone, and you'll see in a minute that I love a good peachy toned highlighter on myself. It's better on me than gold. Gold is too yellow and it doesn't work really well, but peach usually has a bit of pink running through it. And on my skin tone, peachy tones like this really pull up that pink shade, and then you just get pink with warmth, like with MAC Show Gold, but this is much paler, much lighter. I can use this year round. I can slap it on with any blush color I'm wearing, which is another thing I love. Like, I love it when highlighters don't need particular blushes to play up better. I love how this is just universally flattering no matter what I'm wearing. They do a ton of shades in this as well. I'm not even sure if this is still available because I bought this years ago. This is an old product in my collection, but I still love it till this day. This is not going anywhere. Number 4, and this is another drugstore pick, and it's the Catrice More Than Glow highlighter in the shade Ultimate Platinum Gaze. That's what the packaging looks like. And this is a gel to powder formula like Dior and other very more expensive brands do, but from Catrice. And you can buy this at the drugstore for under €5. And this shade is great. If you love ColourPop Flexitarian, if you like the look of that, but you don't want to place a ColourPop order because it's a brand that's difficult to get for you, then definitely check out this one, because I felt that this was an exact dupe for Flexitarian from ColourPop, but it has a much easier formula to play with. I find ColourPop Super Shock highlighters pretty, but they do need a wet sponge to apply them. And this I can pick up with a brush. So if I have a product that I find much easier to use, then that's going to be my preference over anything else I've got going on. And this is just such a good one. This is not just a good highlighter at the drugstore. This competes with some of my more high-end things in my collection, which is why it's in this top 10 and why it's so high up, because this is simply one of the best highlighters I've tried. Catrice do some other lovely things as well. I very nearly put in their glow infused highlighter. I think that's what it was called. But again, that's one that's very soft focus, and it just hasn't been in my collection for as long. So I don't feel as solid on it as I do this one. But this is like the best one from Catrice I've ever tried, and I love it. Remember what I said about peachy toned highlighters? The product that made me realize that a peach toned highlighter looks really pretty on me is this. Number 3, the Nabla Skin Glazing Highlighter in the shade Privilege. So again, for my skin tone, you would probably think I would go with Ozone, but I was just so tired of all those pink toned highlighters that you see being aimed at people with fair skin. When it comes to highlighters, for years, all we got was a white or a light pink. I want variation too. And that's when I found this, and I was super duper over the moon to finally have something that toes the line between warmth and cooler tones, but it's not full on in both. And I feel it's light enough for me to pull it off. Very often peach toned highlighters were much too dark for me and really left a dark cast. But this Nabla, like the Catrice, has a gel to powder formula. So this just looks, it's called Skin Glazing Powder for a reason, because that's exactly what it does. This is that glass skin lit from within kind of powder formula. Very similar to the Nars. I feel that this also has that glass skin quality, but because this shade is better for me than a Nars, I popped it up higher. Plus this is more affordable as well. So that's why the Nabla, like, I keep raving about this and I just love it. I just love this thing to pieces, and that's why I go back to it all the time, and that's why this is just a number 3, a very solid number 3 spot in this ranking. Number 2, if I've hit pan on a highlighter, it's gonna have to make an appearance very high up on the list. So my Fenty Beauty Killawat highlighter in Lightning Dust and Fire Crystal has to get a mention. It's like pinprick pan though, but it's right there in the middle. And this is another one where I'm like, this is pinky toned highlighter that I wasn't sure I was gonna love when I bought it, because it was like, this is like pretty much the only shade that works for me as a highlighter in this entire range. And I was like, it's another pink, but it's pinky peach. It's not just pink. So that's why, again, it works for me, because it has a little bit of warmth to it. Now, granted, Fire Crystal is my favorite shade in this compact. I wish the brand would stop doing these split pans and just give me a single pan of Fire Crystal. If they were to launch that, I would snatch it up in a heartbeat, because that's what I'm still lusting after. The only reason why I've hit pan on this is because of the way the pan is shaped. I tend to go in this with my brush the exact way every single time I use it, and that's how I've got hit pan. It almost looks like I dug a hole, but I don't know, I was trying to not ruin the FB embossing in here, and then I just always ended up with that. I feel that formula-wise, Fire Crystal is a little bit intense, but I feel Lightning just doesn't do enough, because I feel it doesn't have the same undertone. So this, I feel, lays more on my skin and this blends in a little bit better, but it is a little bit more boom kapow in your face. I have one more highlighter that I've hit pan on, which is the Balm's Merry Luminizer, but that's very strong gold, and I actually prefer my Nars highlighter for a gold over any of the gold highlighters I have. But yeah, the Balm's Merry Luminizer, it's the OG highlighter. It's the highlighter before highlighter was a thing, and I still hold it very near to my heart, but that's more of like an honorable mention by now. And then my number one highlighter. I told you that I was gonna make it up to you for not having too many drugstore options in this video, but my all-time favorite highlighter, if I was allowed to just pick one, Kiko Milano Glow Fusion Highlighter in shade 01. Now this has gotten a lot of love, but for some reason I've just not hit pan on it yet. I tried earlier in the year, but I haven't quite managed. But I think you can see that I've got a good dent in this. So this definitely is when it comes to most used highlighters. And this is that soft focus candlelit glow, very similar to what I get from the Hourglass. But shade-wise, I like this just a little bit better because this is just, how should I explain it? It looks perhaps a little yellow if you look at it up close, but I feel it has a little bit of a peachy pink quality to it once you put it on the face. This is just stunning. It goes with everything. You're wearing highlight, but nobody's going to say you're wearing highlight because it's not that obvious. It's not gel to powder or anything like that. So it is a powder formula, which may not be everyone's favorite, but I love this for just a quick and easy makeup look. I go back to this all the time for sure because I just love this product, and I know I'm going to hit pan on it someday. And when I do, I'm going to repurchase a backup of this because this is my favorite all-time highlighter, and they still do this as well. I've had it for years. I think, didn't I buy this in Rome? So that means I've had it for like, what, 5 years? Probably, maybe longer. Maybe I've had it for longer, but yeah. Kiko Milano Glow Fusion highlighter is just top-notch, chef's kiss, and Kiko does sales very, very often, so you can very often get this at like 30% off, or they do like buy 2 products and get 2 for free deals as well, which is always a great moment to snatch up a couple of Kiko bits as well. So Kiko has amazing products, and especially everything that's going on in this line with this silver packaging, I just love. And actually, I've mentioned it about the face powder from this line, as well as the bronzer from this line, and as well from the blushes in this line, but they dupe out a lot of high-end things, and I feel that this is very similar to the Hourglass for that reason, because guess what? Kiko, Hourglass, Charlotte Tilbury, Laura Mercier, it's all made in the same factory in Italy, and that's why these products are so very good. So those were the 10 highlighters in this ranking today. I hope you got something out of it, that the recommendations were something that are useful to you, and that you were able to see all the swatches and all that. So if you would like to stay tuned for more, then you could subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to help me out in other ways, you can also thumbs up this video and leave a comment down below. And I greatly appreciate you taking the time out of your day. I hope you have a good one, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye-bye.